So we're looking at massive temperature swings over the coming days, with high temperatures possibly being 70 to 90 degrees above those coldest morning lows across parts of the Central Plains, especially from Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa. I mean, look at this. We are cold today. It's going to take a few days to get there, but by early next week, we could be pushing 70 in parts of Nebraska, where lows were nearly 30 below zero just a few days ago or even yesterday. So yeah, way warmer weather ahead. However, I do want to, pad this just a little bit and talk about why I'm not so sure that spring will be on after this. This is not winter's last gasp, and I want to show you why in the upper level pattern. This is looking down from the North Pole. I like to use this look to sort of define what's going on in the upper level pattern. Your polar vortex getting much more reestablished with your polar jet. When you have a strong polar jet, you don't pull the cold air down into the northern parts of the United States, also into Canada, and really sometimes even to the southern U.S. That cold air starting to get bottled up as our polar vortex, again, you can sort of see how everything getting wrapped up here and really starting to sink toward the Hudson Bay. This is above average temperatures, I think, as we head into next week. Timestamp is above my head, so you can see where we are into next Tuesday. However, things start to change right here. Can you see this? We're starting to develop some warm air aloft, and now our flow is getting more clockwise. We saw this with the last disruption of the polar vortex. When that happens, you push the cold air down into the mid-latitudes, whether that's over here into Asia, if it's over into Europe, if it's down in toward the Mediterranean. Either way, you're getting colder in the mid-latitudes than average, and that's pushing the cold air south. And I think this blocking pattern that sets up over Alaska, I know I'm getting to the weeds a little bit, but I want to explain what I'm seeing and how the long-term models, even once we head toward the first part of March, are looking colder, and maybe why they're looking colder. So, unfortunately, I think for the central and eastern U.S., as we head into the first week of March, we're going to get cold, and then we may warm up just a little bit here in the east, but another blast of cold. I think these models are starting to get a little flatter, so they don't look nearly as organized. So a little colder as we head toward the first week of March. Now, does the polar vortex reestablish itself and we warm back up across the U.S.? It certainly could happen. Again, that's getting into the weeds, and I think just keep your eyes open. I don't think winter's done. You could always get a surprise snowstorm, especially as we head into March, and some of you obviously may be sick of the cold and snow. High pressure building in. This is a cold Arctic air mass that is going to be modified pretty quickly with this strong February sun that we're seeing. Dry conditions for the most part across the Ohio Valley. We do have some rain showers starting to develop across Texas, and a plume of moisture, a fire hose, starts to move into the Pacific Northwest and British Columbia. That's going to put some heavy rain and heavy snow into this part of the country. Also into the Rockies, not just the northern Rockies into the U.S., but also along the U.S. Canadian border into the Canadian Rockies. Now, across the east, temperatures here start to warm up. We do start to develop a bit of a southwest flow at the surface, and that brings our temperatures up from the Midwest into the Great Lakes. It's still going to be relatively cold in the Northeast, with overall kind of a northwest flow, but eventually that does turn more southwesterly as we head toward Monday, and then some showers skirting along the Gulf Coast. Our next sensible weather across the Great Lakes will be with this system moving through. It could be in the form of some rain, maybe warm enough for that, with a little bit of snow mixing in on the northern side of that into parts of southern Ontario. But look, we're warm enough for rain showers. Again, a huge warm-up on the way, I think, as we head into this week. Now, along the border, again, a little bit cold air still lingering just to the north, so some snow here into the northeast, and we'll get some snow into the west. Now, yesterday, some of the models were indicating an East Coast snowstorm, and I gave you a warning. I said, do not buy into this snowstorm yet. Do not. And today's model is certainly backing down on that idea. Now, as we head toward Wednesday, you're starting to get a little more confidence that there will be something going on here, some kind of trough swinging through the country. But what we're not seeing on today's guidance, now this is a pretty pronounced trough. This is cold air really blasting down all the way from the central U.S. into the south. So temperatures will not stay warm. Now, however, the further west you go, the warmer it's going to be. But this is another blast of cold air. I'm feeling more confident that we do turn cold. The question is, will there be a snowstorm? Today, I feel less confident about that. Yesterday, I wasn't buying in on it. However, that could bring more rain and snow behind this, turning, I guess, rain to snow. And then look at this, a clipper system may swing in behind that. So as we start March, we may not be done with these winter systems. And look, I mean, now we're way into next week. You've got kind of a pattern here. Could something sneak in? It could. The GFS today, maybe a little more progressive too, with moving anything out to sea pretty quickly with a rain to snow scenario here. But still, we're talking about back to snow, cold enough for that, as we head into the end of the week toward next weekend. So we're talking about 7 days out. Still pretty far. Let's watch this for any storm potential. At this point, I think it's low, certainly not zero though. All right, look at these temperatures. This is the huge story, I think. You're waking up with temperatures today below zero in some cases. You're not going to warm up much across Iowa, but maybe arguably warmer than yesterday across Nebraska. You're in the teens. It's like a heat wave. You're above zero at least. And then warmer temperatures starting to be felt across Texas as we head into Saturday. And then that cold air, that core of cold air starts to go away. Now you're looking for some warm air up across South Dakota. You're starting to develop it across Nebraska. You're back into the 40s. You're back into the 50s and 60s starting to show up. And then look at this. As we head toward Monday, we've got 60s, almost near 70 pushing into northern parts of Kansas, mid-50s, close to 60 across South Dakota again. And now we're surging some of that warm air further to the north and east too. We're back into the 60s as far north as St. Louis. As we move into now, Tuesday, I mean, right, you go from 20 to 30 below to near 70 degrees across South Dakota and Nebraska within a week. So a huge swing. This is going to feel absolutely wonderful if you're tired of the cold weather. But then it kind of starts to cool down some as we head through the middle and late part of next week. The same thing across the east. It's not going to be nearly as dramatic. We didn't get nearly as cold as folks across the Central Plains, but temperatures here over the weekend will start to warm up. We'll be kind of chilly on Saturday, also into Sunday, but 20s and 30s, not teens and single digits, so we are warming up a little bit. Still coolish across the south. Temperatures in the 40s and 50s. Now as we move toward Monday, you can see the 60s and 70s making a return, especially across the deep south, back into the 50s across parts of the Midwest, almost into the 50s, close to southern parts of Michigan. There's still quite a bit of snow on the ground. That will play a part in this warm-up, but unfortunately, we're not going to get nearly as warm as we are across the plain states, I think, especially across the Northeast. We're probably going to be stuck in the 30s and 40s, but by the time we get to Wednesday, we're pushing, almost 70 up to Nashville, mid-50s up to Indianapolis, so much warmer than what we've seen lately, and then some cooler weather on the way toward the late part of next week. There is some snow in the forecast in the short term, not a lot though, as we head through today, tonight, maybe a few upslope snow showers and a few lake effect flurries here and snow showers, but not much. The next system will bring a light band of snow across mostly southern parts of Canada here. Doesn't really get down into Toronto, maybe up toward Montreal, and then north of the Great Lakes, some snow here. Across the west, the highest snow totals will be across the Rockies. We talked about that, the northern Rockies, and then into parts of the Canadian Rockies, and then the coastal ranges here, British Columbia, and into the Cascades, where we could see maybe several feet of snow, especially once you move north into British Columbia. A closer look at the east here. We'll dive into this just a little bit over the next couple of days so you can sort of plan things out. There's the snow showers that we're seeing today here across parts of West Virginia, into the mountains though. Not everybody's seeing it here, also into Pennsylvania. That dries out as high pressure builds in. We see clearing skies and some beautiful sunshine on the way, I think, for Saturday. That's going to feel pretty nice. You got to remember, we're getting into late February, so while the temperatures are going to be kind of cold, if you can get some sunshine, it feels pretty nice with much more incoming solar radiation compared to that lower sun angle that you have on December 21st versus February 21st. All right, as we move into Sunday, there's some showers moving along the Gulf Coast from East Texas into Louisiana. That could drop some heavy rain, maybe some thunderstorms too with this, and then that moves into Florida. There's our next system we showed you on the wider view, moving through parts of Michigan into southern parts of Ontario. That's going to bring a little bit of rain and snow here. And then another system could bring a few showers back across the Great Lakes into parts of Indiana, Ohio, and then into the Northeast as we move into Tuesday and Wednesday. On the backside of this, there could be some cold air with a quick switch over to some snow. And look, it's active. We get another system moving through the Great Lakes as we head into Wednesday with more rain and snow. And this could be the kicker. That front that swings through with this is going to turn you back cold again. The warm temperatures will be over in the east, also across the central U.S. But here, look at this beautiful weather too into Saturday. There's those showers developing across Texas as we head into Sunday, really widespread across East Texas. That moves east pretty quick. A few showers through Minnesota and Wisconsin with the snow on the northern side of that system, and then a few more showers with the next weak wave that moves through the central U.S. by Tuesday and Wednesday. That kicks off to the east. The key takeaway from this is these are fairly weak systems. And then there comes your cold air, high pressure settling in over Colorado, northerly winds bringing in some cooler air. So the temperatures in the 60s and 70s, I just don't think they're going to last because of the setup. And then across the west, there's that fire hose of moisture just pounding the Pacific Northwest. The heavy snow. One round will be heading into Saturday into Sunday. I don't know that we get a break. It'll really start to pick up, though, into the northern Rockies as we head into Sunday from Idaho into Montana, the mountains here, east of the mountains, not much. And then more rain on the way. This could be a pretty strong low with a lot of wind for the Pacific Northwest, pushing a lot of moisture in. So big storms for the Pacific Northwest. Definitely not quiet here. All right, if you're brand new, thanks for coming over, guys. I appreciate all of you for subscribing. If you're one of the OGs, you've been here a while, thank you very much. But if you're new, I hope you'll subscribe. I'm Travis. I used to be a chief meteorologist many years ago on TV, and this channel has just been growing like crazy over the last couple of months. By the, I don't know, more than 12, 14,000 just in the last couple of months. So anyway, if you want to support the channel, subscribing helps a tremendous amount. And just thanks for all your support over the past couple of months, everybody. And I'll see you next time.